Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Chandler, the Executive Director of the Foundation of the Sacred Stream and also the host of the Sacred Stream Radio podcast. And I'm here with Isa Gucciardi, the founding director of the Foundation of the Sacred Stream. And we are doing a last minute live, a pop-up, if you will. We just felt like we needed to.
There's so much going on that people are having a hard time kind of staying steady and keeping cool in the middle of all of the events that are happening on multiple levels. And so we thought we'd try to offer some
Community,
thoughts,
yeah,
resources.
an opportunity to just be here together and some alternative broadcasting, if you will. But we kind of reached the same thought of doing these kinds of live events during the pandemic, and they were nice. I think they were a good. I think people enjoyed them, and yeah. Anyway, we just wanted to check in with you guys, and so. I also want to give a shout out to my podcast listeners, because I think what I'm going to do here is put the audio of this into a podcast and make it available to them. I think we have different listening audiences, and so hi to the podcast folks. So. And hi to you. Thank you for being here. Please let us know that you're here. Say hello. Give us a shout out in the chat. Let us know where you're watching us from. And yeah, if you have any thoughts or questions or comments about what's going on for you or what's going on in the world, please do share those with us. We're not going to get political, although there's a lot going on in the political arena that is disturbing. And I think just there's a lot of vitriol in the air and on social media, which is just I've kind of had it with that crap. And I I mean, it's really, we need to dial it down. We really need to dial it down. We need to pull ourselves together and remember who we are, and let's move forward and do some things that are productive. Isa.
Speaking of that, I was listening to His Holiness this morning, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and he was talking about a path to a happier life. It's one of his favorite subjects, and one of the things he was focusing on today was affection. And he was, he really had a marvelous mother. He had a mother who was very loving, and I think who gave him such a strong sense of what it is to be loved and what it is to love. And he was talking about the affection that a mother has for her child, and that this is the affection that we can have for one another, and that this is the way that we should enter into the world and enter into interacting with one another. And I thought, every time he talks about his mother, I'm so happy for him that he had that experience. And I also think, there's a lot of people who have not had that experience. They've had mothers who were confused, or who were not well supported, or who weren't ready to be mothers, or any number of things. And so they don't have that visceral experience of what it is to have someone to have affection for them, or to have affection as sort of a template for their early life. And I think that it's really important, if we're in that boat, to try to cultivate affection. I was thinking, I think a lot of people find that ability with their pets, that they're able to feel this sense of affection, and that's a place where you can easily cultivate it, and then try to bring it into interactions with people, interactions with strangers, interactions with friends, and just to sort of have a template, a sort of sameness and equanimity of affection that you bring into all of your interactions, and that you cultivate for yourself. And I think that especially people who didn't have that beautiful kind of affectionate environment to grow up in really do need to actively understand how affection can help them, and how they can generate and become a generator of affection, and doing the inner work to work with that experience of not having had the affection, and then being able to move toward it, I think is really a wonderful path, and I think that it's something that, here at the Sacred Stream, we always feel that the way that we are externally is a reflection of how we are internally, and so one thing, when I hear people being so polarized and so unhappy with them, with something around them, I have to always remember, that what's going on inside of them, what is their relationship to themselves that must be so difficult. And then it's easy to have compassion or affection for them rather than responding with some kind of polarized response to what they're doing. And it really is a strong practice, especially these days, because there's so much acrimony, and it's like you have opportunities to practice pretty much every breath you take, and I think it's important that we think about that, and so that's one of the reasons we were thinking, how can we help contribute? How can we contribute to what's going on? And one of the things we thought about was, why don't we just offer some discounts for our classes coming up, so that to make them more affordable for people, so that people can work with the information that's in the classes to help transform their inner world and understand themselves better, so that they can become, part of the change I think most people do want to become part of the change. And I know people who, or for instance, one of the classes that we have coming up, the Depth Hypnosis Foundation course, which we have, I think it's the first time ever we've done a discount on that class. And
we always do an early registration discount.
Early registration discount, but this is like a pop-up. We're into pop-up experience. And we really just felt like that was so important, because it's an offering that we have, and it's depth hypnosis is really about, it's about 100 different things, but one thing that it's about is helping you understand what your deeper motivations are, and the way in which your earlier experience may be affecting the way that you're interacting with the world, or the symptoms that you're experiencing of imbalance or unhappiness, or frustration or confusion, which is so easy to fall into these days. How you can understand those earlier experiences, so that you can have a new perspective on your current situation, and deal with any kind of imbalances that you might be dealing with. So it's a class that you can look at your own issues, and then learn how to help other people look at their issues and help transform their experience of imbalance that they might be experiencing. So it's one of the things we wanted to highlight here today.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, just while you're on that, is we're giving away a series of grief and loss meditations on navigating grief and loss. So that's free, and you can download that. And I think Cody will probably put that in the chat for folks if you're interested in it. But just ways of supporting, helping support you, and and you can share that with friends to support, because there's a lot of grief in the world right now. I mean, there's so much grief and so much difficulty. There's also a lot of beauty. I don't want to lose sight of that,
Right, yeah.
But we really have so many conflicts in the world, and it's increasing. And we want to, kind of hold space for what we're all going through. I think we're all struggling. there somewhat. I want to say hello to some folks who are here, in the chat. And please, again, if you're here and you want to say hi, please say hi. Let us know where you're watching us from, and any questions you have for us or comments, experiences you want to share. We'd love to hear from you. So Jen Maitreya is here, and thank you, Jen. It's always lovely to be in circle with you. And Jennifer Emin is here from Ojai. And I really want to go to Ojai.
Yeah.
We've been talking about going to Ojai and visiting it's the Gurdjieff.
No,
not Gurdjieff, Krishnamurti. Yes,
yeah.
very cool. And Amy's here. Hey, Amy. Amy so kindly came over and watched our cat and our bird, and our bird developed an affection for Amy. That was a little strong.
Over the top.
So.
She's practicing affection.
Yes, indeed.
And challenged Amy, perhaps challenged Amy. Amy was very sweet with her.
And Mary Beth's here from Memphis. Welcome. Welcome.
How wonderful. Nice to see you again.
Well, one of the things, we woke up Monday morning and we took a walk, as we often do. And I have to say, Monday was, it was just kind of surreal and intense. I don't know if that was for you as well, but just the events of the weekend and really weeks prior and the things that are happening. And, because it's just strange and surreal. Now, I want to.
Is it strange and surreal, or are you
Am I
strange and surreal?
I am definitely strange and surreal. But we were on our walk, and we were kind of talking about like how intense things are, and how strange things are things that are happening in the country and in the world. And we found these feathers as we were walking. And I kid you not, we live in San Francisco. We live in a city. And we do have hawks and owls around. But first was this feather. That's a pretty major feather here in San Francisco. And this is an owl feather. And moments later, we found this feather, which is a red-tailed hawk feather. So I just took that as reinforcement that it's all okay. Things are as they need to be.
Well, I think when we're closer to nature, we feel better. When we can feel our connection with the earth, everything sort of settles. When you find your connection with nature and with the plants and the animals, you can find your connection to yourself more easily, I think. And that's why that's why, of course, we have the Applied Shamanism program as one of the big programs that we teach, because it does really draw on the earth's wisdom and help people understand that wisdom better. And so, and as people begin to dedicate themselves more to remembering nature, being part of nature, looking for moments to be with nature, I realized I was driving with a friend of mine a little while ago, and I realized that not everybody has, as they're going around in the world, like I realize as I'm going around in the world, I'm going from plant to plant.
It's really true.
So if I'm going to give you directions, I'm going to give you directions that have landmarks of plants, and I was driving with my friend, and he was like, so, the things that he was talking about that we were driving by, I hadn't even seen. It was like they didn't have anything to do with plants. But I think that, I think that being in connection with plants all the time is really a solace, I know, to me, when things are getting tough. And, I think that, remembering that the earth is here, the earth is supporting us with each breath that we take, and supporting us with each drink of water that we have. And I'm so grateful for that, and so wish that for everyone, that everyone have clean air, clean water, and enough food to eat. And it's just not the case right now. There's so many people that are suffering, and just offering up a wish and a prayer for that everyone have that connection and 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 all of the bounty that the earth offers us.
Mhm.
So,
And so how, how do you hold this? How do you hold the intensity? I know, because I know it affects you as it affects me, you know, the crisis of refugees around the world, the wars that are ongoing. It's a lot, and I think it affects people. And how do you navigate that?
well, I mean, there are a lot of different ways, but one set of ways that I mean, deal with it. I mean, I do a lot of meditating.
Yeah.
I do a lot of ceremony, and but in terms of an overarching philosophy, I really try to understand how other peoples and other times and places when they've been dealing with severe situations and circumstances, how they have understood it. And we have just come from Mesa Verde. We
Yeah,
just
yeah.
had a destination studies class
Mhm.
for the first time since the pandemic. And Mesa Verde is an amazing land in the southern part of Colorado. And it's a place where the, the peoples who lived there, who are called the ancestral Puebloans, had to leave um, and at the height of their development in that particular area because of climate change.
Mhm.
And
Drought, severe drought.
the Hopi, the Zuni, the Puebloan, there are other modern people who who descend from the ancestral Puebloans that are in that area now. But those people had to leave that area um, and leave their homes, leave everything they knew, and to find a place to be where they were not challenged by drought and famine, and which is facing so many people today. And the Hopi are a very they're people that manage to hold on to their many of their traditions in a more in a perhaps stronger way than some of the different um, First Nations people were able to in the onslaught of European greed and religious persecution and the
Colonization.
loss, the colonization, all of the losses that colonization brings. And the Hopi have um, a strong tradition of prophecy.
Mhm.
And so when I try to think about that tradition of prophecy and the things that they've prophesized in the past and how they are prophesizing the immediate future, it gives me a perspective. And this is something that we go into a little bit in the class Cycles of Time that's coming up in the fall. It's also on demand. And it's that there's a cycle of prophecies that different Hopi elders have made available to outsiders. The Hopi are pretty dispersed in terms of different groups are in different places, and some groups think it's a good idea to share the prophecies with outsiders, and some groups think it's not a good idea. But they have a worldview that we are in something called the fourth world, and there've been three worlds that have been destroyed, basically. The first by fire, the second by ice, the third by flood, and now we're in the fourth. And there are a huge number of prophecies that have been recorded and offered to outsiders that describe the conditions that we're going through right now. The famine, the drought, all the different signs that the fourth world is coming to an end, and that there will be a fifth world, and the process of purification, the process of finding one's way from the fourth world and from all the degenerate experiences on an ecological level, on a social level, on a spiritual level that are part, that's like part of the prophecy. It's to be expected. And that there is there's a path that's offered, which is a path of, in one of the prophecies, it's called the path of the one-hearted ones. And the one-hearted path is a path of those that only have their heart with the earth, that only align with the wisdom of the earth. And there's an alternate path called the zigzag path, and those people in the zigzag path are people who are, not doing that work that they might do to align with the powers of the earth and the wisdoms of the earth, and they're kind of zigging zagging around. And then, they talk about the entry into the fifth world being through that path of the one-hearted uh, path, that where your heart is fully aligned with the wisdom of the earth and all of the qualities that the earth provides, generosity, affection, a welcomeness, abundance, bounty, and working to kind of promote those qualities. So for me, that's how I kind of try to align myself. That's one of the contexts in which I try to align myself and really try to understand, what is it to have to be on the one-hearted path, and I think His Holiness's words were very inspiring for me there, this morning.
Yeah, and back to what you were saying about, about the connection to nature. Um, I think that's so important, and it's so easy, I think, for people to disconnect without realizing they're disconnecting, because when you're just looking at your phone all the time or your computer all the time, or you're getting caught in like, I've got to get this done, I got to get this done, everything kind of becomes monofocused and kind of narrow. And we're still connected, but we're not aware of the connection. And I think it's really helpful for people to, take a break and really go outside, and wherever you are, whether it's like, breathe the air, and, if you can get into some grass and walk around barefoot in the grass, great. Or if you can be with some flowers or trees, do that. I feel really fortunate to live in a place in a city that has a big, beautiful garden, very much thanks to Isa, who's a master gardener. But it really helps. And if you don't have that easy access to plants, if you're like city bound, you can grow some plants, and you can kind of create your own connection to plants. But that, it sounds simple, or maybe too simplistic, but I think that there's a way that it becomes a heart connection. It becomes a way of opening your heart to be in that connection in whatever way that it is, but just taking the time to really set an intention to do that, and doing that helps break up those patterns, or those habits of being that we get into that narrow us,
Human-centric.
are tech-centric.
Yeah.
Right. I just wanted to read, so Jessica Tenjak is here. Hi, Jessica, from Kansas City. And Jane Doe writes, wow, super cool. I'm reminded of the story of Mandela and his fellow activists as they were getting transferred to Robbins Island, the notorious prison, and how their response was to sing.
Wow. Yeah.
Boy, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's so much there. Mandela is such an inspiration, that he could then come out of that experience with no rancor in his heart.
Yeah.
And work for peace. I mean, we're lucky. We have so many.
Yeah.
We have so many models of people who really do hold on to their integrity and
heart-centered,
that remain heart-centered no matter what's happening. And I think it's really helpful to have those models and to have those role models, because it gives us a place to focus. It gives us a place to try to align with as we're trying to find our way through these challenging times. I mean, these are definitely challenging times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and yeah, so, but here we are, and
Yeah.
we're here together, and we're lucky to be on the planet at the
Yeah.
same time as people like Mandela, and for those of us who were alive when he was alive,
Mhm.
His Holiness, who's still here with us.
Desmond Tutu when he
Yes,
was alive.
yes. You know,
Jimmy Carter's still alive.
yes,
Wow.
amazing. Yes.
What an amazing humanitarian.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And, you know, I think that we can, you know, take heart
Mhm.
in these examples.
Yeah. Hey, I want to invite everyone to like us here on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching us, because that really helps us with the grow the channel and reach more people who may find this helpful or interesting. And commenting also is really helpful, and it lets us know you're here and lets us know what you'd like to talk about or what you'd like to add to the conversation. We're really interested in hearing from you. Um, yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that is, you know, one practice that we can kind of engage in as we are um, finding our way is a practice that you can practice at night as you're
Mm.
before you're going to sleep, because I think a lot of people have disrupted sleep, you know, with everything going on. And that's the shamatha meditation practice where you center and focus on your breath. And I think if you sign up for our newsletter, you get a free copy of a free download of that.
I
Is
shall
that right?
correct you.
Oh, sorry,
Um, that's
I'm
okay.
not the online person. Sorry.
No, the shamatha meditation is free, and and if you sign up for the newsletter, we we change it up now. So we sometimes have free meditations, and I think Cody was talking about giving a class discount. So if you're not on our newsletter, please go ahead and register, and you'll get something cool for free. Karen DeTemple just joined in and said, thanks for the meditations. That's really helpful. Great to see you, Karen.
Wonderful.
Karen was on the Mesa Verde trip that we were just
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
right. So anyway, the practice, the meditation
Yes,
practice.
please.
So
Yeah.
so if you can settle your mind at before you go to sleep by focusing on your breath,
Mhm.
you just try to, if you have other thoughts that come up, you kind of let them go and just come back to your breath. And then you focus and ask for help in terms of your dreams, you know, like, you know, ask for some kind of guidance that's going to help you the next day, that to help you kind of navigate an issue that you may be having or just be able to be in the world more easily. And then when you wake up, then you spend some time reviewing your dreams. And this practice is really helpful because it helps you come back to yourself, and it helps you find your way from your own inner guidance. And I think dreams are a really wonderful source of guidance. I mean, dreams can also bring up issues that may seem complicated that we need to work with, but that's why we have the dreams class, which is coming up very soon, and I think we have a discount on that as well,
We
right?
do. Yeah, I think we've
Yeah.
discounted everything
Yeah,
to
so to try to offer help here.
just
Yeah.
yeah. Let's change up the. Let's have some positiveness
Yeah, right.
going in the world. Kat Marlowe's here.
Oh,
Thanks.
hi, Kat.
Thank you,
How are
Kat,
you?
for being here. You know, I want to invite everyone. If you haven't tuned into the podcast, please, you might want to check it out. Please do. We have the YouTube version here on YouTube. We also have the audio version on. It's really pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. But I'm thinking of it because I have the Vedic astrologer Hogarth Brown coming on. He'll be the next guest, and you know, he's talked a lot about, he's a Vedic astrologer, and how he's talked a lot about the sort of intensity of the astrology of these times. And So we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about his book, which is a fascinating information about Vedic astrology. But Vedic astrology is quite predictive. And we'll be talking about why this is so intense. But one thing that I will share that I loved the way that Hogarth described this, he said basically the United States is in its Pluto return. Now, we don't have Pluto returns because we don't live 250 years, or however often.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you might, but so the Pluto return means we're kind of coming back, revisiting what was going on at the time of the Constitution that was created, which is interesting if you think about it. And there's some other configurations that were around at the time of the Civil War also. Interesting if you think about it. And the upside positive look of it from this Vedic perspective, Vedic astrological perspective, if you're interested, is that we're being given an opportunity to correct the things that need correcting. Mm-hmm. So I like to look at it that way. And he's British. He says we're in a composting time here in the US. With our Pluto return, we are composting essentially. So we're in a lot of muck right now, but it will turn into something positive. So I'll share that, and you can hear more about that on the next episode of the Sacred Stream Radio podcast.
And in terms of the Vedic worldview, that's another place where you find a whole wisdom about the cycles of time. Mm-hmm. And there's something called a yuga, which is it's of course, because it's Indian, there's a whole big calculus that emerges to produce these yugas, but they're based on the cycles of time that are created when the Earth, how long it takes the Earth to go on its axis all the way around, and that's 26,000 years. Mm-hmm. So each of the yugas is like 4,500 years. 4,500 years, and at the beginning of the cycle, I think they're distinguished into metal cycles of metal, and I can't remember. I think the beginning is gold, and this is a time where with the first yuga, there's been plenty of these that have gone around because time has been a long time. But
has time been a long time? It's been a long time.
Measuring time has been a process that has happened over a long period of time.
It's been going on a while.
Yeah, especially among the Vedic astrologers. And so, the first cycle is one of gold, where there's abundance and the spiritual elevation. Most people are very interested in spiritual pursuits. And in the next yuga, there's still interest in spiritual pursuits, but things are beginning to degenerate a little bit. And the third cycle of the yugas, it gets, it's kind of 50-50, maybe 60-40, whether or not people are acting in integrity and doing what they know they need. They can still remember that there is a moral compass that they could find if they wanted to, but a lot of people aren't trying. And then the last yuga, at the end of the cycle, is where we are now, and we are actually, from the Vedic perspective, we are at the end of the last cycle. So we're in the most degenerate part of the cycle, and that there is again a process that's described in a similar way in the Hopi prophecy of a purification and of finding your way through being focused on that one-heartedness, that sense of affection that His Holiness is talking about. So there's another context for which to understand, that it's an interesting, philosophical construct based on the Earth and her processes, and it's something that again is it's a kind of a prophecy, not exactly a prophecy, but a prediction. Mm-hmm. And so here we are, sort of at the tail of the of the tail end.
And it's a wheel.
And it's a
So,
wheel, so it's going to come back around,
yeah.
and we're going to find,
Yeah.
you know, those, if you can stay focused on, you know, that one-heartedness, that sense of affection, you can come through it. And I think that's the challenge that we all have, you know, and we can all make that choice.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us have lost the ability to make that choice because we have been so traumatized, and it has been so hard for us, which is why it's so important for those of us who can imagine being able to try to stay that path, and to try to help everyone else that we can in the ways that we can to do that as well, you know, through our affectionate engagement with the world, you know.
And we have a question.
Oh,
Leslie has a great question. With so much intense suffering and the constant access to media broadcasting terror in real time, what advice do you all have on avoiding despair and numbing out? Yeah. I've got a lot. You know, Issa and I have talked a lot about this, and we're nearly finished with the book on depth hypnosis. Well, it's pretty much finished, but it's coming out soon. And we've talked about this and how we're really living in a time. Actually, is it the Hopi prophecy that says, you know, lies will be thought as truth,
Yes.
and truth will be thought lies?
Mhm.
So
That's the sign of the
That's a
end
sign
of the fourth world.
so
We should emphasize that
okay.
because it's such a huge deal.
Yes, and we'll come back and
Okay.
we'll emphasize that.
Okay.
So obviously, and a huge part of the problem is that we have this unmanaged and unmanageable, you know, disinformation coming through things like social media and now regular media, and it's just gotten worse. And you know, one of the things that we emphasize is in the book and in becoming really aligned internally with your own inner wisdom and healing the parts of you that need healing, clearing the aspects of ourselves that are obscurations to us knowing and connecting to our inner wisdom deeply, is that when we do this, we'll be able to have better discernment. So, so the work of doing our own personal work, which I think is really, I mean, for me, it's just part of being human. It's like it's ongoing, clearing and gaining clarity and trying to deepen in my own understanding of myself and being, you know, trying to show up as a decent human being, you know. But we have to, you know, so that's a big start. And we have to tune it out. We have to cut it off. We have to disconnect from this. We are so tossed around like, you know, leaves in the wind, you know, or with what media is putting out there. And it's like, it's bad for you. It's like, it's really bad chips. They don't even taste good, you know, but it's so prevalent, and it is hard to disconnect from. But we are in a state, I think, we are in a state of heightened anxiety, heightened depression. There's more cases of depression and anxiety, more medications given. Suicide rates are higher than they have been historically, and in part it's from these things that disconnect us from ourselves and make it hard to discern what is true, not only for us, but what's happening in the world. So I think we have to center and turn off some of this stuff as best we can.
Yeah, I think these practices we've talked about, centering with the shamatha meditation, listening to dreams, like learning what is true for you. I mean, again, you just want to go back over this. Part of the Hopi prophecy is one of the ways you recognize the end times is truth is called lies, and lies are called truth. And that is exactly what's happening right now. And so again, that, it's like a major like neon sign about sort of the degeneration of things. So that's why you have to return inward and find that internal compass that still lies there. I know for many of us, we are dealing with a lot of personal trauma and dealing with collective trauma, and it's hard. It's hard to get there, but you can make the effort. There are practices that will help you, and if you have to take it seriously, that you are going to find what is true for you,
Yeah.
and that you're going to stay close enough to yourself, and you're going to engage with, you're going to engage with, this cup of water, and you're going to say, is this red? Do I think that this is red? Yes, I think that this is red. Like a simple thing like that. This is my,
I know.
my snowman.
So just for a moment, Lisa has introduced her cup. And if you look in the cup,
I don't think you can.
yes, you can. Do you see the
Yeah,
snowman?
there's a snowman in the cup.
Okay. All right, sorry.
That's the truth.
Yes, there truly is a snowman in the cup. Indy B writes, how does one engage the world affectionately, especially with all the composting and conflict? Good question.
Well, one thing that I always try to remember is when I see someone who is really negative or, being unkind or, being aggressive or, being unpleasant, and you're trying to deal with that, and you see the effect that they're having on those around them, and, you get alarmed. But the thing you have to remember is that the more disorganized someone is, the more pain they're in, right? So being unkind to others, not thinking about others, as important as yourself, these are signs of disorganization. And you have to really remember that, that people are suffering in that disorganization, and have compassion for them there.
Mhm.
And hold, it sounds, it is hard. At the beginning, it's really hard to do, and it's like kind of messes with your head. But as you move into it, you find that it's the safest place to be, because when you can remember the pain that someone's in when they're acting in unkind ways, it keeps you from being drawn into unkind acts as well. It gives you stability, and I think, and you have to, again, work to know what's important for you, what's true for you, what's your own set of internal values. You have to do that work. It's something that it's, for some of us, it's given to us. Sometimes we may have been born into a spiritual tradition that we feel in alignment with, that has a strong moral compass in it. And that's a wonderful thing to have, that to measure oneself against and say, okay, is this true for me? And here's a list of things. All right, are these true for me? Is this something that I can abide by? But a lot of us don't have that, any kind of spiritual guidance at all. So we have to find our own way and look for these role models that we've been talking about, today.
Mhm.
So there's some thoughts.
Yeah. And it's important to stay connected to your own good intention. It's really important to remember your own good intention, your good
Cultivate it and cultivate it.
And I want to say, like, and it's compassion is so important, and sometimes what looks like compassion, sometimes, like we may have to set a really strong boundary, and that may not look like compassion, but it actually is. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that.
Oh, that's a whole big other thing. We
Yeah.
can have a whole YouTube talk about
Yeah.
fierce compassion.
Well, and just, yeah. And I really, the value of a gratitude practice, however you do that, but like to take time in your day, like at the end of your day or at the beginning of your day, to really think about, like, what am I grateful for? And what, like at the end of the day, what positive things happened? We're so kind of wired to focus on the negative, like this bad thing happened, you know, but all these good things also happened, which is why I brought my feathers from, you know, the other day. And I'll just say, I want to relate this story. So when we started out, and I'm not going to go into detail, when we went to Mesa Verde, we had this really intense, unpleasant experience of being targeted on the plane by a bully, and a very big bully at that, a 6'4" bully who just decided they were going to pick on us. And so, you know, it was unsettling, you know, and threatening. And I set a pretty strong boundary at a certain point. And, you know, we woke up the next day, we're kind of tired and, you know, feeling a little ragged, and like that was unpleasant. And not just from that, but just, you know, just, and we went, you know, went into town to find some food, and we were both really tired. And we landed. We literally parked in this neighborhood, in front of this place that
was a house that had been turned
it
into
was,
a,
wait, hold on. It's a house. It's a blue house in a residential neighborhood. And we're like, what is this place? And it says Turtle Lake Refuge. And we're like, are there turtles? Is this a B&B? What is this place that we've just parked in front of? And then Nisa notices the sign, and it says open Tuesdays and Fridays. And it was Friday from 11:11 to 2:22. All right.
And
it
it
was
was
like 12
12:10.
o'clock. So we go in, and inside we open this little gate. It says come through the gate. So we went through the gate, and there are all these people in this like kind of like love
Verdant.
fest atmosphere. And it's this amazing, this woman makes this food, and it's like pay what you can. And it's this vegan, like in the middle of this town. So it's this vegan place that serves this beautiful food, and everyone was just so lovely.
A lot
and
of plants everywhere.
A lot of plants. And there we were. It's like, that's the place I focused on. I focused on that. So for what good that does, but I do think that like really, you know, changing your focus and making sure you know, you find the positive, because there's always positive. Not falsely, not Pollyanna-y. I mean, acknowledge that thing that happened to us on the plane was a bad thing, not okay. Kind of the, you know, the division of the world, we're experiencing it right there, you know, but there's also these other things, and we're going to navigate those things in as balanced a way, trusting in our good intention, and that we have support, you know. There's some other things. Let's see, because okay, what kind of times are these? Adrian Rich, oh, love Adrian Rich. Let's see. Oh, Numi from Melbourne. Oh, hello. And Sherry's here too. Oh, I love Melbourne, Australia. Have you been to Melbourne?
I haven't been to Melbourne.
You
I've been
haven't?
north, but I haven't been to Melbourne.
I have had some lovely times in Melbourne. Yeah. So any other thoughts that you'd like to share?
I just want to thank everyone for being here today. It's so nice to be in cyberspace with you. It's so nice that we have this opportunity.
Cyber circle, as it were.
A cyber circle, and look forward to being together again sometime soon.
Yeah, I think we're going to do some more of these, and we'll give you more notice. Yeah, it's time. It's time. It's not going to be easy between now and whenever.
I know we kind of kick up our YouTube appearances when times are tough. In the pandemic, we were there every week. You know, we were there every week.
Yeah, so we'll be back. And yeah, thank you guys for being here, and just wishing you well. And until next time. Oh, and big thanks to Cody, who's here posting discount codes and all kinds of things. So thank you, Cody.
Who keeps the whole world going. If you were looking for something to be grateful for, be grateful for Cody.
Yeah, he keeps the sacred stream rolling. All right. Thank you all.
Take care.
Bye.